Hey guys, this is one tip for Junker Queen against every hero in Overwatch Season 3. I am Misha, I've played 1640 hours on Junker Queen, of which nearly 600 in ranked, forcing her into every bad matchup and have never swapped. Rank doesn't mean anything anymore, as you can now abuse OP perks, hero bans, map voting and cheater compensation for easy elo, but here are my picks and accomplishments if any of you believes otherwise. With that out of the way, let's start with the general tips. For Gracie, you can ping stuck targets. This is especially helpful when you throw your knife towards the enemy spawn door on defense and want to get early information on what hero is being played on the enemy side. It may also work as a mark for your flankers or a dive tank to secure a pick. For Carnage, you might already know about utilizing cover for your axe swings, as the animation is quite long and easy to react to, so I'm gonna give you a more niche advice. Camera flicking! Axe's damage hitbox is active for roughly a tenth of a second, which doesn't seem enough, but with right reflexes on your mouse may allow you to hit multiple people from left to right, which is insanely beneficial when you happen to have multiple people around you as you rush in, and getting more Carnage hits gives you more sustain and higher uptime due to its cooldown being reduced by 2 seconds per hit. Oh, you didn't know about the first tip? Well, you've got 2 tips then. For shout, prioritize shouting your team over yourself. Yes, I know it gives you 200 health compared to the mere 75 for your teammates, but Queen is a hero that relies on follow-up from your team arguably more than any other tank in the current state of the game. If your overextending Sojourn manages to survive thanks to your shout, then you get a chance to pick someone off with a good Gracie pull and a rail in the face. And now, on to the heroes. If D.va goes for an aggressive self-destruct, you can quickly use Gracie and pull to stop it from flying anywhere further, allowing your team not to give up that much space. Additionally, if you stick your Gracie in her, leave it until she uses boosters to punish her quickly. Bait Domina's repulsors. It takes roughly 3 shots to break a shield segment, then immediately toss your Gracie and pull the Domina to force her to panic and boop you, for which you continue pushing with your Carnage afterwards. Face tank Doomfist's punches. If Doom uses power block in front of your team, stick your Gracie in him, use the crouch pull tag, that being walk into his face, crouch and pull, yonking him over your head, thus forcing him to use empowered punch to disengage, punching you instead because you end up in his way, and either killing him or forcing slam to shut down his entire cooldown cycle for easy space. Similarly to Doomfist, if Hazard chooses to fight you head-on, pull him behind your back, forcing him to block your team's damage and leaving his back to you for easy damage, or if he chooses to dive your backline instead, stick a knife in him to interrupt his leap engages. For Junker Queen, basically the more boring and reactive one wins. I love the Stalwart sub-roll passive, but it also completely disallows you from punishing the enemy Queen for overextending, making this matchup mostly based around your shout timings and follow-up from your team. The Queen that uses her shout as a parry to the other one's Carnage, or the one that isn't pressured to use her shout earlier, should win. If Mauga uses overrun while your knife is stuck in him, you can time the pull to stop him in place while he performs the final stomp. Additionally, if you have no cover to leave his cardiac overdrive's LOS, you can perform the crouch pull tech yet again to minimize the value from cardiac while he's trying to shoot you down. When Orisa uses Fortify, I like to wait around 1 second and then stick my Gracie into her and leave it, as when Fortify's duration runs off, the knife will recoil immediately, thus pulling the Orisa right into your team, forcing her to use all of her remaining cooldowns in panic or just leaving her for easy punishment. Similarly to Mauga, if you can't escape Ramattra's pummel as he's pushing you in Nemesis form, you can use the crouch pull tech to minimize the value. It is less consistent to get him over your head, as he's got the Stalwart passive that reduces your pull's strength, but avoiding 1 to 2 pummel hits is better than avoiding 0. As you see Reinhardt pushing with his shield up, toss your Gracie at it, so when he puts his shield down, the knife will fall right on top of him, or anyone standing alongside the Rein, allowing to put some pressure before you get into a brawl. A smart Rein will drop his shield down, not to let the Gracie stick into him, but that's also the time when you and your team can either shoot him or press W harder to the space he's stopped committing to. Ban him. Just ban this hero, really. Like, he denies your entire ability cycle with one press of a button. hooks you out of your best frontlining tool in a split second, two-shots you, your shout can't even save your teammates anymore from his hook combo, his ult also just deletes you, you can't even pray for your team to go Ana and Mauga to run it down on him because he probably banned them himself. If you're somehow forcing Queen into this matchup, pray for the love of God that he targets your teammates at such slow pace that you can pull him out of the hook, or that he's literally 4 entire ranks below you and can't land a single shot on you. Like, seriously, just fuck this character, bro. For Sigma, bait the rock. Although it's much harder compared to Domina, as he has better burst damage and his sustaining abilities are more flexible to use around you in the poke fight, it's easy to hide behind cover as he uses the rock, but if you can't, because let's assume you're already sending it, then try to sidestep to the left side. I seriously can't explain how the hitboxes are being manipulated here, but I randomly caught it in a clip in Ranked, started doing this move, and it surprisingly works in some scenarios. But the more I think of this tip, it's better you just ban this hero as well. Like, this character is only slightly less boring than Roadhog, and he enables hitscan slop so well, so I just wouldn't bother dealing with Sigma anyway. For Winston, keep the Gracie in him at all times so you can pull him out of his jump. The safest option would be to wait for his dive, then stick your knife and pressure him till he's forced to jump out. But if Winston has any follow-up on his engages, your team might have died by the time you'll be able to punish him. And so, it's good to latch your Gracie on the Winston in the poke fight and wait it out, as it will give your team more time to anticipate the dive or yoink the Winston out of your backline so he can't deal damage to your teammates. Throwing Gracie at the Wrecking Ball when he uses Pile Driver is simple enough, but if the ball uses Minefield before slamming, use your Carnage instead, so you can hit both the ball and the mines around you for more safety. If you're talking 6v6, then it's quite easy. Force one Zarya bubble with your shots and then run her down. But if we are talking 5v5, then use a similar technique to Rein and his shield. When you see the enemy Zarya push forward with her first bubble up, throw your Gracie at it to let it fall onto her, to immediately pull her after it sticks, thus forcing her to panic and use second bubble right away, and then you can run her down. If you see Anran dash into your backline, use Carnage immediately, as she will use her Dancing Blaze right away, allowing you to get a free hit as she escapes the blink and then either dies or is forced to dash out. I like to first get up close and force Ashe to use her coach gun in order to then rush her with my Carnage, or stick my Gracie beforehand to pull her back in. Although if she's got high ground, then start praying. Save your knife for the end of Bastion's sentry mode, as that's the easiest way to punish him. You can also use the crouch pull tech to avoid his sentry mode from melting your HP if you're stuck in his face. A smart Cassidy will save his roll for your Gracie pull to cancel it, so better just leave it in him and try to outperform him in the mid-range duel. As Queen is one of Echo's best copy targets, stick your Gracie in her, and as she farms her rampage very quickly, pull her out of it to prevent most of its value, since she can't abuse the rampant charge minor perk, and it is easier to predict the timing compared to regular Queen's rampage. Once you pull Emre with Gracie, there isn't much he can do. Even his pistol doesn't provide enough self-healing to outperform your axe combo. Just don't let him abuse high ground. Unlike Emre, Freja can easily escape you from a successful knife pull, so your best bet is to watch your teammates' health bars and make sure they don't explode from Freya's charged bolts. When Genji uses deflect, I like to wait 1 second and then use Carnage, as it will either hit him right after the deflect ends for easy damage, or will force a smart Genji to dash out, forcing both cooldowns simultaneously. Your best bet against Hanzo is forcing leap via aggression, and then pulling him with Gracie. If you can't do it, then pray for your team to deal with him instead. Your shout allows you to fully tank Riptire, so as long as you're full HP and not in sight of any other enemy, alert the Junkrat, assert your dominance, and tank that tire so your team doesn't have to die. If the Junkrat wants to stall out your shout's duration, you can always either shoot plus melee, shoot plus Gracie, or use Carnage to break it. Mei can easily deny Carnage with her ice block, so I always do my best forcing it with either a good knife pull at mid-range or just landing my shots quickly in a head-on fight, After that, you can easily punish her with your Carnage. You can save your knife for a barrage, as it's your best chance at dealing any sort of burst damage against Pharah. Similarly to Mei, it's good to force Wraith form via Gracie and then chase the Reaper for an easy Carnage hit. Shion's right click can easily obliterate you, so I would make sure I'm not her first target in sight and use cover. The rest is treating her dash the same way you deal with Cass's roll. Leave it until she uses it for punishment. Once I see Sierra deploy her drone, I instantly start shooting it, and after that I just chase her, as she can't really escape me anymore. Just like Cassidy, stick your knife in Sojourn and force the Sojourn to fight you at mid-range until she uses her slide to escape for an easy pull. When Soldier uses Tactical Visor, I usually just send it into his face in hopes he doesn't target my teammates, as Carnage and Shout should provide enough sustain to tank the visor and finish him off, assuming he's not being pocketed. Pay attention to the sound cues. Once I hear Sombra's hacking sound effect on me, I immediately shout, as I may not have enough time to turn around and shoot her to cancel the hack. Hack may disable your abilities for only 1 second, but sometimes 1 second of no abilities is enough to shut you down. If a sim throws a TP with a bunch of turrets behind your team, use your Carnage to eliminate them all. It may sound like a waste, but using your Carnage to disable it instantly is better than shooting every turret one by one, giving the sim more ult charge and distraction value. Don't be afraid to chip Torb's turret with your Gracie, as it's the only way you can deal with it from range. Additionally, some Torbjorn players also like to use their turrets as cover, so much so that it is likely to actually catch them with a Gracie while they thought they were safe around their turret, expecting you not to shoot it. Even though you can survive a pulse bomb on your own, it is still advisable to use your shout, as it may help any of your nearby teammates to walk outside the pulse bomb's range for less splash value. Prioritize saving your shout for Vendetta's overhead strikes to save your teammates. If you're in a 1v1, keep sliding melee attacks between your shots until she decides to block. Then stick your Gracie and Carnage her, as the Carnage should force the rest of her block resource, forcing her to use her throw or dash to escape, which you deny with your pull. If a Venture is burrowed next to you, swing your axe right as the Venture is about to leave the ground, so you can guarantee a hit on them, hopefully denying them from fully committing to your backline. Or you can time your knife instead if you're a Giga Chad. Widow's grappling hook cannot be interrupted with Gracie, so it's best to wait out the entire grappling animation before you decide to pull the Widow with your Gracie for punishment. Running it down mid against Ana is not ideal, as it becomes easy for her to time her sleep dart and anti-nade. If I can find the opportunity, I like to sneak up on her from the side to force a defensive anti-nade. This way I can capitalize on the panic response and worry about 1 cooldown less from punishing me entirely. You can use your Gracie to either quickly burst down the immortality field or pull someone out of its range, as long as the target you're pulling is in front of the lamp, not behind it. Similarly to Mei, Brigitte can easily deny your Carnage with a whip shot, so apply pressure with your Gracie or successful shots at close range to force her to either bash back or whip you beforehand, so then you can press W with your axe. Similarly to Torb, don't be scared to use your knife to quickly destroy Illari's healing pylon. For this case, it's even more valuable, as she can always escape with Outburst anyway. Make sure you've always got your Carnage saved for Fika's Catnapper. Even though it doesn't seem so, you're always in perfect range for a successful hit. Abuse the ult advantage. If Juno uses Orbital Ray aggressively, you can use your Rampage to deny the heals. If Juno's team engages on you with Speed Ring on top of that, the anti-heal may leave them in a rough spot. As of a recent nerf in which Kiriko's teleportation no longer cleanses your wounds, it's even easier to force Kiriko Suzu with a good knife or a multiple Carnage hit on the front line, for which you wanna ult the millisecond the enemy appears white on your screen. Lifeweavers like to panic and place their petal platform right as they get hit, so when you latch your Gracie onto him, wait for him to either use his dash or the platform to pull him out of it for easy punishment. Or you can also just rampage towards him as he uses life grip on the tank you were just about to kill to make him reconsider his choices. Lucio is likely to save his beat to counter your rampage, which after the recent nerf to the overhealth gain from it is less scary, as Sure, it will still deny your Rampage's ability to wipe the whole enemy team, but you can more easily focus on one target and finish it off for a pick, which still puts your team at a slight advantage. Similarly to Widowmaker's grappling hook, Mercy's Guardian Angel is completely uninterruptible with your Gracie. So, if you manage to land your knife on her, wait for her initial Guardian Angel's dash, pay attention to how it slows its momentum, and if she performs the super jump, that's when you can pull her back for punishment. As Mizuki uses his Sanctuary, feel free to use Rampage and Carnage to ignore its value completely. Jiggle pick around corners to bait Mizuki's chain and utilize them if Mizuki manages to catch you in one. Just like with Reaper, bait Moira's Fade with a good Gracie or good shots at mid-range to save your axe for either a chase or for a better target. If Wuyang uses his Tidal Blast and the bubble target pushes aggressively into your team, I would wait no more than 2 seconds to use my Rampage into Wuyang's team. This way, I leave the person antied and in a bad position as I distract the rest of the enemy team. You can still stick your Gracie onto Zenyatta while he uses Transcendence, and although it may not deal any damage to him, you can still pull him. Sometimes you may see a Zen casually standing still in the middle of his team, thinking he's safe, and as he goes back during the last seconds of Trance's duration, you pull him and he's screwed. And that was it! Thank you all for watching. Special thanks to these two wonderful souls that helped me with this video. Feel free to share your thoughts, agreements or disagreements to the advices I've provided. You can catch me on Twitch, Misha_OW. Subscribe for more Junker Queen content and see you next time.